Hey everyone, this video is in regards to the WikiLeaks Vault 7 releases. Right? I remember, it's been years now, but back, like I say, I pay attention to this stuff, much more astute than most Canadians. So, as per usual, I'm always ahead of the curve, right? Usually 2 steps ahead of most people. And back in the day, years ago, many years ago, when I used to put, and I still to this day obviously, put electrical tape over my cameras, muffle my microphones. And to this day, that's nothing. I don't have a smart TV. Of course I could afford a smart TV. If I wanted a smart TV, I'd have a fucking smart TV. But when I'm watching TV, I'm just watching TV. So there's so many different ways that I can have access and abilities to turn my TV into smart enough to be able to portray or project the kind of things that I want to see on it, but I don't have to turn it into its own ability to snoop and listen on to what I do, right? So, yeah, I don't even to this day, in 2017, I still don't have a smart TV. Of course I should be able to have one. That's actually quite disturbing, right? The fact that in this era, I have to deny myself the ability to have a modern, a beautiful, technologically advanced device such as a smart TV, which would allow me to be able to do things much easier without having a whole bunch of other supporting devices to do the same thing, right? But I don't want to. And back in the day when people used to ask me, well, how come you don't? And I used to tell them, well, governments and corrupt people on the planet, hackers, there's lots of people that can tap into your devices and turn on your cameras or your microphones on your devices. Same with even when my kids were younger and I said, or not sorry, but what was it, the Sony thing or whatever, or no, the Xbox. That other device they had on their Xbox. Sorry, I'm not thinking of it right now. Someone will probably mention it in the comment section after they've watched this video. But basically, yeah, kinetics or no, whatever the hell it was anyways, where it can know your movements, right? Well, once I recognize that knowing governments and how devious and all the things that function now under the radar, yeah, I don't want any of those things in my home, right? Bad enough I already put myself out there on many different ways, on many different levels, and usually I'm kind of most of the times I'm fairly private in some aspects of my life, but I'm willing to put myself out there publicly in certain aspects. But I should be the one that gets to control that, right? So that's why I try to eliminate as many devices or potential scenarios where someone other than myself or people in my immediate family can have access to the kind of things I do, or to watch me, or to listen to what the things I do. So I've tried all kinds of ways and methods to circumvent that capability. Once again, WikiLeaks is showing us that all you people that weren't paying attention to listen to us, or maybe making fun of people like myself, because like I say, back in the day, people used to say, "Whoa, what are you, a conspiracy theorist?" No, I just pay attention. Sorry if I'm a couple steps ahead of the game than you. You can call me a conspiracy theorist now, or they could call me a conspiracy theorist a bit back then, but I bet they're not doing it now, right? When it all comes to light, when the revelations come to light and people show and prove conclusively that, oh yeah, actually no, Bennett was much more astute, paying a lot more attention to you people. Right? Yeah. Yeah. I don't do these things just so that I can give myself a pat on the back. I do them to protect myself, my family, and many other. Being able to point out the fact that a lot of people were hypocrites or idiots for trying to talk to me in the manner they did back in the day, that's just a bonus. That's just icing on the cake. WikiLeaks, and I'm reading right from the WikiLeaks page. Fuck a lot of these outlets that are trying to, create their own narrative in it, but recently, the CIA lost control, and this is in regards to Vault 7, the release, right? Recently, the CIA lost control of the majority of its hacking arsenal, including malware, viruses, Trojans, weaponized zero-day exploits, malware remote control systems, and associated documentation. This extraordinary collection, which amounts to more than several hundred million lines of code, several hundred million lines of code. Try to put that into perspective and try to figure out how long it takes a person to write, even if you're a computer programmer, even if you understand how that works. But think about what it takes to create hundreds of millions of lines of code. Gives its possessor the entire hacking capacity of the CIA. The archive appears to have been circulated among former U.S. government hackers and contractors in an unauthorized manner, one of whom has provided WikiLeaks with portions of the archive. Leakers are good. Leakers are good. I don't have a problem with leakers when they're trying to hold governments to account. Never. Right? Since 2001, the CIA has gained political and budgetary preeminence over the U.S. National Security Agency. The CIA found itself building not just its now infamous drone fleet, but a very different type of covert, globe-spanning force, its own substantial fleet of hackers. The agency's hacking division freed it from having to disclose its often controversial operations to the NSA, brackets, its primary bureaucratic rival, close bracket, in order to draw on the NSA's hacking capacity. But I mean, even the fact that we're learning this today is because Trump's in power, right? So these people wouldn't have, a lot of them, well, they didn't. Other than Stolen, none of them released any of this. But now that Trump's in power, they're stepping up. Like I say, it's always a win-win for the private sector, right? When people fear government, well, I mean, that's not a win in the immediate moment, but it tells you that, yeah, you're going to start to see some evidence and some truth come to light. By the end of 2016, the CIA's hacking division, which formerly falls under the agency's Center for Cyber Intelligence, CCI, has had over 5,000 registered users and had produced more than 1,000 hacking systems, Trojans, viruses, and other weaponized malware. Such is the scale of the CIA's undertaking that by 2016, its hackers had utilized more code than that is used to run Facebook. The CIA had created, in effect, its own NSA, with even less accountability and without publicly answering the question as to whether such a massive budgetary spend on duplicating the capacities of a rival agency could be justified. In a statement to WikiLeaks, the source details policy questions that they say urgently need to be debated in public, including whether the CIA's hacking capabilities exceed its mandated powers and the problems of public oversight of the agency. The source wishes to initiate a public debate about the security, creation, use and proliferation and democratic control of cyber weapons. Love you leakers, man. Like I say, whether it's Trump, Obama, Bush, Clinton, anyone who's in power, yes, hold them to account, leak as you wish, leak as you may. Once a single cyber weapon is loose, it can spread around the world in seconds to be used by rival states, cyber mafia, and teenage hackers alike. Julian Assange, WikiLeaks editor, stated that there is an extreme proliferation risk in the development of cyber weapons. Comparisons can be drawn between the uncontrolled proliferation of such weapons, which result from the inability to contain them, combined with the high market value and the global arms trade. But the significance of year zero goes well beyond the choice between cyber war and cyber peace. The disclosure is also exceptional from a political, legal, and forensic perspective. WikiLeaks has carefully reviewed the year zero disclosure and published substantive CIA documentation while avoiding the distribution of armed cyber weapons until a consensus emerged on the technical and political nature of the CIA's program and how such weapons should disarm, I think there should be a B in there, be analyzed, disarmed, and published. WikiLeaks has also decided to redact and anonymize some identifying information in year zero for its for in-depth analysis. These redactions include tens of thousands of CIA targets and attack machines throughout Latin America, Europe, and the United States. While we are aware of the imperfect results of an approach chosen, we remain committed to our publishing model and note that the quantity of published pages in Vault 7, Part 1, Year 0, already eclipses the total number of pages published over the first 3 years of the Edward Snowden NSA leak. So, I'm not going to read this whole thing. I mean, it would probably take me an hour to read through it. I will post a link to the WikiLeaks document and this release in the description of the video so you can go through and read it all. But yeah, this is basically talking about how government central planners and their spy agencies have been underhandedly and sometimes even with coordinated efforts with some of these social media platforms or data centers or resources where they've been working together and using these platforms as a means to invade your privacy, to undermine any sense of human rights, and respect for the privacy of the individual, to be free of invasive practices used against them. Unless you're, like I say, all these revelations they're doing are basically acknowledging the fact of things that we knew years ago, where the government is using every kind of, think about it, what the Snowden revelations said, collect it all, right? Anything that you look, where you can lay your eyes upon, or you listen with your ears, right? Anything that you see that is hooked up to the internet, that has the capacity or the capability to listen or to be used against you in many different devious ways or manners, yeah, the government's doing it. Your central planners, the people that steal from you, that dominate your life, the people that you think are your protectors, no, they're not your protectors in any way. And they're definitely not your providers. You are the provider. They're the parasites. And your parasites, your political overlords, are using all the productive capacities, all these amazing innovations and technologies that people have conjured up and created in their mind as a means to use against you, to dominate, control, and dictate your life, and suppress your willingness to speak out. That's another thing of all this stuff. Myself, I don't give a fuck. I'll still do it. But you know how many people, and I know this, most people are totally unwilling to stand up and speak out when they know this kind of stuff is happening. Maybe a lot of these revelations are meant to quell and squish people's voices, to keep them silent, to keep them conformist, and think, well, I don't want to speak out when I know that there's people paying attention, listening to what I got to say, right? That somebody might be coming after me for speaking out or standing up for freedom of speech and liberty. Well, all right, if you do that, all you're doing is placing the weight, more burden on the shoulders of those of us that do. So, I'll continue to do it just because I'm going to do it for myself. But, more people carrying the same load makes the load a lot lighter and easier for us to function, right? Those of us that do. So hopefully, once, not just Canadians, Americans, but anyone that learns of these revelations, which they mostly should now because they're coming to light. Few of them, established media outlets, are covering them. Some of them are ignoring them completely. But I think it's come to light enough online, and there's enough people that are connected online that I think most people, it'll be disseminated enough that I think most people will come to learn and recognize and realize the reality of what's happening. And once you do, it's up to you. The onus is on you to stand up and fight and show some solidarity with those of us that are trying to push back against this shit. We need it, right? The power of numbers to fight against this kind of stuff. It's Canadian Libertarian. I love liberty.